Hey guys, Alan from Simple Crew and CrewFire here, and in this video we're going to go over how Red Bull manages its street team and brand ambassador program. And just to give you an idea of how I know this stuff, when I was in college for 2 years I worked for Red Bull as a student brand manager. So keep in mind that this was like 2008 to 2010, and I'm sure it's evolved a decent, I'm sure it's evolved a lot since then. I mean, it might have even, who knows if it even exists in its current form or in this form that I'm sharing with you now, but it really worked. I mean, 2008 to 2010, the Red Bull Wings teams girls were everywhere. The brand ambassadors were throwing events, and it was part of what made Red Bull so great. So I'm confident that it's still around in some incarnation, but this is how it worked when I was there as a student brand manager. So let's talk about it. Let's jump into it. So the general overview here, this is what I saw and what I felt about, or kind of like how I kind of imagined it was working from my position. I was just down here as a student brand manager. So full disclosure, I didn't have a huge organizational understanding of this, and I know that the org chart went way up because this was a massive collegiate network, massive nationwide network, and it's even international. So this is a very simplified version of like an independent, like one of the small nodes in a region. So to give you an idea, I think the regional marketing manager in our area was like Baltimore, DC, Virginia. He might have gone up to Philly or Delaware sometimes to support some marketing initiatives in those states. But he managed a few markets. The field marketing manager, similar kind of territory. And these were both full-time positions, the regional marketing manager and the field marketing manager. And then on the lowest level, the people actually, like the kids on the ground, is the student brand manager and the Wings team. And how this was divided, the Wings team were, like the Wings team's girls, you probably, if you're in the States or in a lot of Western countries, honestly, you see these guys a lot. They're the girls that are going out in the Red Bull Mini Cooper sampling product. They're at events with the Red Bull coolers and with the Red Bull backpacks, and they're distributing free Red Bull product. And they just, they're smiling, they're bubbly, and they're giving away free product. And then on the other side, you have the student brand managers, and that's what I was. And we were kind of executing marketing strategies, coordinating with the field marketing manager and the regional manager to, and I'll get into more of these specifics about the student brand manager role, but basically like kind of do the directives and create relationships like with influencers in the region and help support the regional marketing manager on all these marketing initiatives. To give you an idea, all of these were paid. Again, the regional and the full-time or the field marketing managers were full-time positions, and then these student brand manager and the Wings teams were like college part-time positions, but they were paid. And we also got unlimited free product. Unlimited free Red Bull was awesome, but all the great things that I've talked about in previous videos, there was a community around it. It was really cool. It's a lifestyle brand, and we got all these great perks and benefits from being part of the program. So if you're thinking about this, and if you're thinking about modeling this, think about how you can leverage like the sexiness of your brand and free product and and cool events and a cool community and cool opportunities to take part in other events. Just think about all those things and when you think about how Red Bull manages massive collegiate network. One quick thing just to loop in with the last section about communication. Red Bull had something called Red Bull U. It's still live, I think, at redbullu.com, and really it was a community, online community / forum. So it was like a message board. It also had a directory component. So actually we'll talk to that in a sec. But on the forum, you were directed to share your knowledge and your successes. So sharing best practices, share what works for you. This was the portal for the entire nationwide program. So I think that there were literally like close to 1,000 student brand managers that were part of this private forum, and we were all sharing and talking and learning together, and it was an awesome community and a great resource, and I made a lot of friends through it. So there was a database of other student brand managers, and I used to travel to new cities like Philadelphia, New York City, or Denver, and every time I would go, I mean, think about how awesome this is. Every time I would go, I'd be able to check the directory at Red Bull U, find the local SBM, and I did this a couple times. Get them to deliver free product to whatever event I was going to. I went to a birthday party in New York City on a rooftop one time and was able to get a Red Bull Mini Cooper to come and drop off like a ton of free Red Bull. I was at I went out to a concert when I was in college. I went out to a concert and saw the Disco Biscuits out at Red Rocks in like 2008, 2009 or something, 2009. And we were hosting a big after party. And we were doing a party bus to the show and everything. And I was able to connect with one of the college, one of the SBMs for Denver or Boulder, I forget exactly which one, and get him to drop off like a dozen cases of Red Bull, and it was super cool. So if you have that network, I mean, think about the power of that network and how great it would be for someone, especially someone early in their career where they don't really have a professional network built out yet. If you could plug them into an existing network that you're already building, this goes back into the communication tool from last time. That's something that I took a ton of value out of Red Bull, and it was a really powerful tool for Red Bull as well. So definitely recommend some sort of database or community, online community. You could do it around a forum or a Facebook group. All the things in my last video about brand ambassador management. So the objectives, there were a handful of objectives that as a student brand manager I had to do the most of, and the first was seeding product. So local events, bars and venues, student organizations. My directive was to get as much Red Bull into these kinds of places as possible, and obviously this is giveaways, so who wouldn't want that? So and I'll talk more about these later, but if there were fraternity parties, or if there was a big student organization that was throwing an event, or if there was a bar that was throwing an event, or we would always have we would have literally unlimited Red Bull that we could. I mean, I don't know. There was probably some cap on it, but I never found that cap. Like we could say this is going to be a big party. Let's get 30 cases in here, or the local American Marketing Association chapter. It's a student organization I was in. They're doing an event on. They're doing a big event, and we could come and set up a booth and talk about Red Bull marketing. So seeding the product and representing the brand at local events. The other objective we had was small fires. And these are basically publicity stunts, and these were really fun. Pop-up vending machine. So this was where we had a vending machine that distributed free Red Bull, and we could throw it anywhere on campus that we wanted to. I mean, I don't think this was necessarily 100% legal, but we did it, and we had a budget for it, and we could put a vending machine in the middle of fraternity row, or put a vending machine randomly in a less traveled hallway in one of the dorms or something, or something like that, and that was cool. Red Bull Airdrop was a national initiative. If you Google Red Bull Airdrop, we took a pallet of Red Bull during exam week, and we put it in the middle of the quad outside the big library, and overnight, and it had this whole Army get up thing where there were parachutes on the other side of it, and we made it look like it fell from the sky, and huge pallet of Red Bull, and it was creating buzz. Red Bull Move-In was something we did for incoming freshmen at the university, which was really fun. We basically loaded up a bunch of carts with free Red Bull cases, and we went to all the big dorms, and we went to their lounges, and we stocked their fridges with Red Bull, and we wrote welcome to college cards for all the students, and it was actually really fun because this was during the move-in time, and we were able to give the cards and the Red Bull to some of these new students, and we were remember moving into a dorm for the first time, and you're meeting the people that you're going to be spending the next year with, and the rest of your lives with, really, because you form so many friendships. We got to see people building their relationship around meeting their dorm mates for the first time, and then Red Bull got to play a small part of that, and they got tons of free Red Bull. I mean, super cool, win-win, and it created a unique experience around the brand that they'll hopefully remember for the rest of their lives. Red Bull flowers was something we did for Valentine's Day, and we made these cute, and you can Google this, these cute like flowers out of used empty aluminum cans, empty Red Bull cans, and then inside the flower we had we could put another Red Bull. And so we put these up around campus, and then throughout the day we would go around and just restock them and just make sure that there was, try to make it as filled as possible. Last was Band on the Run. This is a fun little publicity stunt we did. We put a band, actually Fat Jew, the rapper from New York, if any of you know him. Not a whole band, so like a rapper and a DJ on the back of a truck, and we post up in the middle of campus and just have them start playing a show in the middle of campus 2 or 3 times. And we did this at 3 or 4 universities. And basically the idea is to create like unconventional publicity, publicity stunts that would get people talking about the brand and aligning with the brand's. This is the biggest part. You have to align it with the brand's values. So Red Bull's values were like a little bit, on the edge and a little bit experimental and anti-authoritarian. And so these kinds of things, they kind of represented the Red Bull brand and gave people an experience around the brand in a way that resonated and was true to what Red Bull was all about. But if that's not what your company is about, you need to think about what are some things that you can do for publicity for that. Or you need to think in general if publicity stunts are going to be something that will be valuable for you, if it's going to be something that you can take advantage of. Supporting events, just some examples of some events that we did. Knoxfest was a music festival that we supported. We came in with Red Bull infrastructure and set up the big wigwam, like it looks like a big teepee, and we set up like a lounge area, and we had free Red Bull giveaway, and we had like we had beanbag chairs and couches. And one thing to know about the Red Bull local support is that we would never really sponsor an event with cash. We'd never sponsor an event with money. We'd always come in and offer our infrastructure, offer our time, and offer our brand, but we would never support with cash. I thought that was interesting. I've heard that they do it in some events, in some markets, but it's not really something that Red Bull does a lot of. So keep that in mind if you're thinking about doing something similar. ATO Virgin Party, big fraternity party, we did something similar. Red Bull Barmaster was a local event that we threw. It was a competition where we had Greek life vote on, like fraternities and sororities vote on like the top 8 or something bartenders to compete in a local bar master competition, and then at the end of the night we voted on who was the best one, and it was a really fun night. It was like a Tuesday night. We sold it out. And so events were just, different kinds of events were a major part in creating an experience around the Red Bull brand for us. Supporting global marketing initiatives. You guys are probably familiar with some of the national or global things that Red Bull does. And, things like weird fun events or like extreme sporting events. And we would always be tasked with supporting those locally with some sort of local initiative. Art of Can is a national initiative that kind of gets people to use Red Bull cans to create unique art. And if you actually Google Red Bull Art of Can, you can see some beautiful creations that people made with this. So there was to support this, I think the regional initiative was an Art of Can exhibition in downtown Washington D.C. at the big train station in DC, and it was a beautiful exhibition and a big cocktail gala and everything, and a DJ and a bar and everything. But locally on campuses, what we did is we went around to like the architecture program and the art school, and we set up a mini display. And actually, it was Art of Can is a competition. It tries to get creative people to do submissions, and so we were going in the architecture program in the art building, and with examples of these Art of Can displays, and getting people to sign up to create their own submissions. Red Bull Flugtag is that silly flight competition, and so whenever there was a regional Flugtag in Philadelphia, and so we would like kind of market and promote it so that people would know to make submissions or know to go to the event because it was a really fun event. Same thing with the Red Bull Soapbox Derby. We would try and like rally support and awareness for these kind of like silly fun events in the region. And Red Bull Air Race is the big, it's that crazy sport that Red Bull invented, but it's basically flying airplanes through obstacles. And to support this, what we did is we created local paper airplane competitions, and then the winners would get to go. There's actually an international paper airplane competition, and you're judged on like 3 things, like style, time, and distance. And then, so we hosted a local competition, and the winners went to the regional competition, and the winners of that went to the national competition, and the winners of that were flown to Switzerland or Sweden. I forget exactly which one it was. And they'd compete in an international, we were the feeders for an international paper airplane competition. And it was a really fun way to kind of raise awareness for their air race and for the brand. And so that's it. These are the ways that and the elements of the Red Bull marketing strategy that an overview of it that I thought would be really valuable to share. And I've been asked about this a lot when people hear that I worked for Red Bull. You get a lot of questions. But so yeah, if you have any other questions, please contact me at alan@crewfire.com. Happy to answer any questions. I read every email you guys send me, and it's always the basis for the next content that I create, whether it's blog posts or videos. So reach out, alan@crewfire.com. Thanks a lot, guys.